If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and another cutting tutorial. So this one is a pre-recorded, not a live tutorial, as this is the bag we are making for our August 2023 Tuesday Sew Along class. So this is the cutting video that the members get to see beforehand before it goes live to the public side at the end of August 2023. So for this cutting video, we are cutting out the Cassia Satchel by a Quaint stitch. Now I tell you, I've had this pattern since 2019 and I still hadn't made it. So I'm so glad that this got voted in for the class. What is the Cassia Satchel? Again, I have not made this one yet. I cannot share the pictures from the pattern, but we can go over to the website and we can take a look at some of the pictures there, show you what it looks like before we get to cutting. So let's hop on over to that website. Okay, so this is the Quaint Stitch website, and this is the bag we're doing, the Everyday Bag Cassia Satchel. How elegant is this bag? Now, I must tell you, there are so many options. I will not be doing all of the options in this cutting tutorial because she gives so many options and instructions in her pattern for things that you may want to add in, like card slots, or a pen pocket, or a gusset zipper pocket. We will be doing that gusset zipper pocket, or piping. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the piping on this yet. We will see as we go through. So this is what it looks like here. What's the size? The finished size is 14 inches by 5 by 10. So it's a larger bag. Now what's cool about this bag is, look, you've got a middle zipper compartment as well as 2 side zipper compartments. So I'm super excited to do that. It's great for an accent fabric. I'm going to be using a fun waterproof canvas for mine, which I'll show you shortly. So I hope that this gives you some inspiration as to what you want it to look like for your bag. So here's the inside. This is similar to what I will be doing. I will be doing a zipper pocket, an overlay, and 2 slip pockets in the center section. And then my 2 outer sections, I'm just gonna leave them as the pouches they are. I'm not gonna be adding in any extra zipper pockets there. Such a great looking bag. Here, this is good. This is what it is on a person. So it shows you it is a rather large bag, which is good. I'm a big bag type of girl. And again, you can follow options to put in card slots in one of the pouches if you wanted to. Piping. Oh, here's one that has the pen pockets and the slip pocket on the inside of one of the pouches. That one's got the 2 slip pockets. Now this one has a pleated slip pocket. In my tutorial, I'm just going to do my regular linings like I do in all of my bags, as you guys know. It's got the purse feet. There is even instructions on how to quilt this bag if you wanted them. So yeah, I hope that kind of gave you guys some inspiration. At least that's a way that I can show you what this bag is going to look like. So yeah, how about we go to tabletop down and I will show you the materials I will be cutting out today with you to make this bag. I nearly forgot. I must say this as I do in all my videos. So I'm not doing this with voiceover or anything like this. My studio is in my basement. My house is not soundproof. You can probably hear my air conditioner running right now. It's 34 degrees here Celsius. So we definitely need that air conditioner. You will hear my dogs. You will hear my kids. You will hear my husband, my dogs, Coco and Dexter, and you will probably hear airplanes as I'm only a few blocks from the airport, and we're in fire season right now, so we do have those water bombers going overhead and the helicopters going overhead all day long, as well as I'm on a bus route, so you will hear vehicles. So please be kind in your comments and understand that this is a home-based studio and this room is far from being soundproof. Okay. Enough of that, let's get to cutting this bag. Alright, so for my main exterior part of this bag, I am going to be using this amazing 600 denier PVC waterproof canvas from Sam Fabric Creations, a brand new company up here in Canada, out of Montreal. So this is going to be, this is my main fabric. So this is what I'm going to have for my front and my back panels, and possibly my slip pocket on the inside if I have enough. So this is what's drawing inspiration for me. My lining is going to be this 400 denier waterproof canvas in super soft pink from Paccana. I think this is going to complement it really, really well. I'm going to be using matte black hardware from Emmaline bags. And my main, or my contrast vinyl I am using is the Loon black Canuck vinyl from Galaxy Customs. Now for my zipper facings, I have this scrap of black that I already had interfaced and everything, so I will be using this to make my zipper facing for, if it's long enough, we will see, for our gusset zipper panel when it comes time to do that. So I am not going to be doing rolled handles. I'm going to do just your standard handles. I'm going to make the handles my way, as I do for them all. And this one, it has a slightly different way of doing it, and it calls for some interfacing in that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make my typical vinyl 1-inch handles when we get to that. I also will be using Giardini Edgepaint for the connectors. She has multiple ways that you can do your connectors if you want to do them in fabric. I'm going to be doing the raw edge connector method so I can edge paint my connectors. So I only cut out those pieces. That's what we will be cutting out today and what I'll be showing you in this tutorial. But do keep in mind that you can follow the optional options and make this bag your absolute own. It's just amazing, all of the options that are optional in this bag that we can do. So again, Sam Fabric Creations is where I got this waterproof canvas, 600 denier, 400 denier waterproof canvas from Paccana, and then Loon black Canuck vinyl from Galaxy Customs. I'm going to get this all cleared off, and then we are going to start with cutting out our main. Okay, so as you all know, I like to mark off my pieces on my cutting chart. So the cutting chart of this is on page 7 of the pattern. I cross everything out with my Air Racing Soline pen. That way, when I cross things out, when I go to make this pattern again, they have all disappeared on their own, and I don't have to worry about it going and erasing or accidentally crossing something out and not being able to read it. It just takes care of the situation for me. Okay, so we are going to start with our exterior front panel and back panel. So it's calling for 2 exteriors. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is we will not be cutting out interfacing together, as we all use different interfacings. We cut them out different or fuse them differently. So the interfacings I will be cutting out after the fact is I will be using the Pretty in Pink Sew Foam from Galaxy Customs for my main interfacing. I will be using Decovil Heavy, which I get from Emmaline bags, for my heavy interfacing. And because I'm using canvases, I do not need to put a woven interfacing on any of these, but if they were cotton, I would be backing them with the medium woven interfacing such as Fuse Lite or SF101 or what have you. My one piece here already has some Fuse Lite on the back from a different project that I didn't need that scrap for, so we will be utilizing that today. Okay, so now let's get to cutting this out. So I am actually on the, let's see, I have never used this canvas before. This is my first time, so I'm super excited for this. So I am going to fold this on itself. You can fussy cut this if you want. I'm trying just to get it in the center of this love here, this black love. That's what I'm going for. If you're using a directional fabric like I am, make sure your pattern piece is going the right way. I'm going to set this where I think, you know what, I don't think it even really matters where it's going to go. I'm going to just put it right here. Does that look good to me? Because I want to get the most of this canvas that I can. So I'm not going to do too much fussy cutting because it's pretty much an all over print. I'm going to press that down nice and tight, and I'm going to use some of these hair clips to kind of hold my pattern piece in place along that fold and to kind of squish that fold together. And then I'm going to go in with my rotary cutter and cut that first piece. Please hold. I put my rotary cutter together the wrong way. Look at that. Okay, I'll be right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're back and I have it put together properly. I always forget to change out my blade, and I actually remembered this time, but I put it on the wrong side. So make sure we're in there nice and tight. And we're going to go ahead and cut this out. You can use scissors if you prefer as well. I just really like rotary cuttering. That's a word, isn't it? Rotary cutting my pieces. So there's the one panel, and I don't really care if they're going to be identical or not, so I'm not going to worry about making them identical. I'm just going to use the most of this fabric as I can because I will want to use it again in another project. And if I get lucky, they'll match up. So if you're fussy cutting it, make sure you're putting your center line where you want it to be, because this is a great pattern for showcasing a print. Okay, so this is my second one. Now the pattern also calls for cutting out the sides with this. I have to look at the picture and decide if I'm doing that. I think I might just do that in black. I think these are the only pieces I'm going to have in this fabric. I think. We will see. We're planning this as we go. Okay. How did I do? Do you know what? I think they're almost identical. Look at that. So those are my two, my exterior front and my exterior back panels. I'm going to put them with my pattern piece, and I will also go ahead and cut foam and woven interfacing if needed to match those pieces up. So that's my exterior. I'm going to cross that off on here. The other thing, because we're just going down this thing, the only other pieces to cut is the gusset panel. But I want to look at my picture and see if that's what I want to do. And I don't think so. I am going to do my gusset panel in the black. I'm only going to do my front and my exterior, or my front and my back panels in this fabric. The rest I'm going to do in the Loon black vinyl. So I'm going to, actually, we will do our slip pocket because I think I want to bring some of the outside inside the bag. So I'm going to use some of this as my interior slip pocket as well. So let's see what the measurements are for the slip pocket. Pocket, slip pocket binding. So I'm not doing the pleated slip pocket. I am doing just a regular slip pocket. So yes, I think I'm going to use some of this. We'll bring that pop of the exterior in. So the inside of my slip pocket is going to be upside down. That's okay. That doesn't bother me as long as the exterior is not. So I am going to cut my slip pocket. And we may have to trim this up later, so this is just a Brandy measurement. For any measurements that are in the pattern that aren't Brandy measurements, I will be bringing it up to face view so you can't see what the measurements are. But for now, we are going to cut this. How wide is this bag? We're going to cut it 12 by 11. So I have my fold here, and 11 inches this way, so it'll be 12 by 11. And we may have to trim that up later. We will see as we go along. So that'll be my slip pocket. So it'll be like so. So the opposite side will be upside down. That doesn't bother me, but if that bothers you, you can definitely do this in two pieces and make sure that they'll be going the same way. So that is my lining slip pocket. I'm going to clean this up and then we will start cutting the exterior vinyl. Okay, so I have about a half roll here and some scrap of my vinyl. I'm going to try to use up as much of my scrap first before I go into the new piece. So I'm not doing the rolled handles. If you're doing the rolled handles, you will want to print off those pattern pieces. I'm just going to do straight handles. Now I'm going to be doing my own measurements of this, as I like my handles to be a little bit longer than, say, the pattern piece. So I can go ahead and show you the measurements I'm going to use because they differ from the pattern. So I hope I have enough here. This is such a weird looking piece. I want to make my handles about 27 inches or so is what I'm going for. There's a very large car, or very loud car going by there. So I'm going to do them 4 by 27-ish, maybe 28-ish inches. And you can definitely make your handles as long as you want yours to be. If you want them to be more of a shoulder bag, I like to do them anywhere between 25 to 30 inches, depending on the make or model of your body, how long you like them to sit. If you like it to be shorter, so it sits under your armpit, I would say about 22 to 24 inches. And if you want to be able to carry it in the crook of your arm only, I would go 12 to 16 inches for that. But again, this is all based on preference. So I think I'm going to do mine to 27 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and on the scrap, I'm going to draw out 2. I just draw on the back of my vinyl. So then I can draft out all my pattern pieces, and then if for some reason my layout is wrong and I'm going to have too much waste, I can always go and redraw them to save on my vinyl if need be, or if you didn't have enough. Rather than being completely committed and having them cut already, I do not like to waste. So this ruler is 24 inches, so I'm just doing to the 24 inches. And then I'm going to just kind of join. I made these little blip marks, as I like to do. And then I'm just going to draw another 3 inches or so. Just line it up right at those little blips. And draw another 3 inches. That's one strap. While I'm here, I am also going to draw my 2-inch middle line. And that just saves a step later on when we go to make these straps. So I'm just going to do a dotted line down the center as my guide for when I do my double folded straps. Okay, and then we want to draw a second one. This ended up working. Oh, look at, I think it's going to be pretty good for using up some of this fabric. It's kind of an odd shape, so it looks like I'm not cutting it straight. It's because I'm on an angle with my fabric here. It's not a straight edge because this is a scrap piece. So that's 24, and look at that, I can just get barely 27 inches. So this was a good use of this scrap piece. This bag does not have a crossbody strap, I don't believe. Coco says hi. And do my 2-inch middle line. Okay. So there's my 2 straps. So now while we're here, let's do our strap connectors. So I'm just going to grab my pattern piece for my strap connectors. Now I'm doing the raw edge strap connectors. So it says we need 8 of these. I'm actually only going to cut 4 to this shape, and then I'm going to do a rectangle that all 4 would fit on it wrong sides together. And this is how I like to do it. And I'll show you when we get into the tutorial. It's my way of doing it to get a nice and even edge for edge painting. So I'm going to draw 4 of these for now, using up some of this scrap. So trace it out. And if you are doing the woven version with fabric, definitely follow the instructions for that. So there's 1. Two. Oops. Obviously can't trace today. 3. And also remember, before using a ballpoint pen on the back of your vinyl like I am, make sure it doesn't seep through to the other side. I know this vinyl pretty good and I know I'm okay, and it is a dark vinyl, but if it was white or something, it would definitely show. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I want to have a rectangle. So I'm going to start my rectangle here that'll fit 4 of these on. So that's 1, 2, I'm just kind of guesstimating 3, 4. So right there, this is going to be my connector, and again, this will make sense when we get into the tutorial. And then we have our con for connectors, just so we remember what they are. Okay, pattern to the side. Let's go to our cutting chart. Now these are on page, well, the straps are on page 8, so I'm going to cross that off so I know I have that done. And then the connectors are pattern piece G, so I'm going to cross that off. I know I have that all done. Okay, what else can I get on the scrap piece? Let me look. I have all my pieces all put aside for each fabric that I will be using. I can't use this because it's got a little thing there, but I can probably use this piece here. So we need C's, so long top panel C's. We need 2 of these. So this is going to be really good. I'm going to use up most of this scrap, which is fantastic. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over this way. I'm going to line it up best I can. Okay, and draw out this first one. Do my on the fold blip blips so I know where to line my paper up when I flip this over. I don't know if they're called blip blips. That's what I call them. Let's make a new word, or blip blips. Flip it over, line the paper up with that fold, add our blip blips, and then continue drawing out our piece. Oh, look, I came really close over here, but I did okay. And then again, I always label it C long top panel. Okay, whoops. Well, that doesn't say panel, but good enough. Okay, and then I'm going to draw out a second one. And notice the direction. So this one right here I have upside down. It doesn't really matter. It will when we're making it, but I'm going to go ahead and draw a second one. I'm just saying that because we'll have to, even though I was assuming this, well, that is the top. So I have the top along the bottom here. We will need to make sure we have it piecing the right way when we go to put this together. So if you're using a directional fabric, make sure that your top is facing towards the top. This one's just all black, so I can position this any way I like. Blip blips, fold blip blips. Flip the pattern piece over, line it up at those blips. Oh, I came really close to drawing over top of that, but I think we're okay. We're okay. Are we okay? Oh, cut it really close. My, oh my. Yeah, we're okay. Oops. Just barely okay. Came really close to the top of this one, but we're okay. See, just barely. So, C, long top. And I might be able to get these ones too. Panel. So now we're going to do our 2 short top panels, and I'm pretty sure I can get them out of this scrap as well. Here, draw this one. I just love it when I can use up my scraps. I will have to go to that other piece still because we still have a lot more to cut out, but at least the scrap piece I can get out of my stash. So that's the D short top panel. And I need a second one of those. I think I'm going to be able to fit it in right here. Right there. That'll work. Put it right along that edge. And then the rest of the scrap, there's hardly any scrap here, and I'm just going to chuck it. Because that's, nothing is big enough to really work with for anything else. D short top panel. Okay. So seeing as we have exhausted all of the space on this piece, we're going to cut out what we have so far. There's some scrap. Move the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. That's better. Okay, and that's one strap. So for all these pieces, there are pieces, I think for the top panels and the short panels, where we do put some, I believe, Decovil Heavy on the back. So you will be cutting out with those pattern pieces. I think I have them here. Yes, I do. So these are the pattern pieces I'm talking about, our base and our long top panel and our short top stabilizers. So you will be fusing your heavy weight interfacing, which I believe is Decovil Heavy, outside of the seam allowances on these pieces. Okay, so those are my two top panel D pieces, short panels. So I'm going to put those together, clip them together, and then put them in the to be interfaced bin. Okay. I came so close to having to redraw that one. We did it okay. Man, this is going to be a big bag. And I'm going to have to give these, because they're a little bit wrinkly, so I will have to give my vinyl a little bit of a press on this backside just because I will want to straighten that out. The hint to ironing the backside of vinyl is keep that iron moving so you do not melt your vinyl. Put an iron on the back all the time. Okay, so those are my two long top panels. Grab my pattern piece. So I have them upside down. clip them together to the to be interfaced bin. Okay, let's do this other handle. My 2 straps. Put those in the don't need to do anything else with bin. Okay. Then we have our connectors. So I'm not going to cut the round parts of these connectors with my rotary cutter. I'm just going to do the straight edges and then go in with my scissors to get the shape that I need for the rest. Okay. Scissors. So this is my connector piece. And again, this will make more sense when we get into the tutorial, what this piece is for. You want to have the shape of these the best that you can, because these are going to end up being your guide. I mean, they don't have to be perfect either. I mean, these are handmade items. So again, this piece here, we're going to be putting these wrong sides together on here, so we want to make sure all 4 of them fit. And if you've seen some of my other tutorials where I'm doing raw edge connectors, it's the exact same process that we will be doing. Now these pieces, this whole rectangle connector piece and these back ones, I will be backing with EB Fuse Heavy or Decovil Lite. EB Fuse Heavy is an Emmaline Bags product, very similar to Decovil Lite, but it's woven. So you will want to back these with that. That will help once we rivet these on to make sure the vinyl or the fabric doesn't stretch out and the rivets can pop out. That somewhat heavy stabilizer behind that really helps secure them. You hear my son coming down the stairs. His room is right across the hall from my studio, so that's what you're hearing there if you hear it. Okay, so that's all 4 of those. So these will go into the to be interface bin. And from that scrap piece, look at all the scrap we have, so we can throw this away. Dexter says hi. I'm not letting him in here because he's a little terror today, but he's going to whine a little bit. Okay, so this is kind of a scrap piece too. She said I've been working with it. Oops, I forgot to put this with my connector pieces. Okay, so let's update our cutting list. We have done the 2 number C long top panels, the D short panels, as well as our strap connectors, so we can cross those off. Okay, so now we're going to work on our gusset panel. Again, you may choose to do your gusset panel the same as your exterior fabric. I am going to do it in this black. Nope, doesn't fit there. And I'm trying to see, I will have to cut a different, this isn't going to work as I thought for my, whatchamacallit here. What is this called? My zipper overlay. Okay, so I've got to figure out where this is going to fit. Is it going to fit there? That's my fold. Before I draw it out. I think it might. We'll find out. Okay, so we need to draw out one exterior of this gusset. So this is the center part of that bag. Where's my pen? I don't know if this is going to be long enough. Let me do my blip blips and see if I'm going to have enough length. Oh, just barely. Nice. Okay. Try to set your gusset. I've already done my little blip blips. Flip this over. Look how lucky I am today. Wow, I feel like I'm winning the scrap lottery here. So this gusset ends up being that middle zipper area as well as the sides of the bag. I think. We hope. In my head it is, so hopefully I'm cutting this right. So there's my gusset panel. So set that aside. I can cross that off. That looks right to me. Okay. Okay, and then going down, contrast exterior. I need a base panel. What did I do with that pattern piece? I just had it. I just had it. There it is. So we're going to do a base piece. I'm actually going to try to use my space in. Maybe I'll go up like so. I'm going to do, and then I'm going to work this way. Actually no, I'm going to go like this. Go a little higher, and then I can use this negative space in here for my zipper overlay and other things. Again, just thinking ahead to having the least amount of waste as possible. Flip it over. And this base piece will also be interfaced with Decovil Heavy or Peltex outside of the seam allowances, and as well as foam, I believe. Okay, so that's my base. Cross that off of my list. Base. Not doing that, not doing rolled handles, not doing rolled handle tabs. Zipper overlay. Okay, so as I'm walking away, there's a zipper overlay pattern piece in the pattern you can use. I'm going to use a template. So I will cut this off camera. I'm just going to make sure I have a piece big enough in here for when I go to cut this. It'll probably be a little bit longer than this. So I'm going to just go from here to here. I'm going to say that's my zipper overlay, and I will cut that off camera. You can definitely use the paper pattern piece for the overlay. It's actually similar in shape to draw out yours. Okay, I am also going to be doing my what I do in all my linings. I like to do for my pocket, my slip pocket, I like to have kind of a binding on top. So I'm going to draw that out as well, and that is different than the pattern. So I'm going to draw a 12 inches by 2 inches one for that. Again, this is a Brandy thing here. There is measurements in there for her way of doing an accent strip on a slip pocket. For that pleated pocket, if you're doing that, you can definitely follow but I'm just doing my typical that I always do. Okay, so this is my slip binding, which is a little bit different. Okay, so I have my zipper overlay, which I will be cutting out off camera just because it is different. I got my 2 straps. Yep, I got my slip pocket binding, which is optional and it's different in here. Yep. Wow. And that is all we need for the exterior. It seems like there should be a lot more pieces, but there isn't. Okay, so let's cut this out. There will be a lot of lining pieces just because there are so many pockets in this. Okay, so because we are going to need a lining piece for this as well as a foam piece later on, you can do foam or fleece. I'm going to put this into the to be cut lining pile because we are going to be cutting a lining piece to match this. So I'm going to put this back into my cut pile so I don't forget that I need to do that. My zipper overlay piece. I think I've done a little bit, I've got a little excessive on it, but that's okay. My base piece, again, you will be putting your heavy stabilizer outside of the seam allowances around this. And we're also going to have to cut lining for this, so we will put this into the lining pattern piece pile, so we remember to cut the lining piece. And then my slip pocket binding, which is a Brandy thing. I do have a tutorial on how I do my slip pocket binding down in the description if you need to see that. Okay, and that is done, and that is done. Okay, so I'm going to clear up all of this, and then we will get to finishing this up with our lining pieces. Okay, so before we get into the linings, I want to revisit this gusset panel. Now this is one of the things that has many options on how you can do the zipper on this. So you can do a zipper facing type idea where you have, that's what I was going to use that black fabric for the lining. I'm going to do a raw edge version where the zipper is going to be because I'm going to edge paint it. So this is how I'm going to teach it in the class on how to do this. You can only do this with non-fraying fabric. If you are using the a fraying fabric, make sure you follow the other option for doing this. But because I'm using a vinyl, this is how I've decided to do mine. So on our pattern piece here, you're going to see our rectangle here. I'm actually going to cut that rectangle out, and I'm using my rotary cutter to do that. Oh my gosh, nice fresh blade, and I'm doing this. So again, this is for the non-fraying fabric option. Again, there's 101 options that you can do in this bag, but I figured let's get this all done so it's out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to lay this on top, and I'm going to draw out that rectangle. You know what? I'm just going to draw out the one line there because this is going to get me a straighter edge. Flip it over. So I didn't really need to cut all this out, but that's okay. Okay. And then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to join up those lines nice and straight. So this is going to go together very similar to how we do our zipper pocket with the zipper facing. Okay, so we want to cut out that rectangle. So I'm not going to go all the way to the ends, but I am going to use my ruler as a template. Start about a ½ inch before the end of where our rectangle is here. I'm just going to get it started with my rotary cutter along my ruler, making sure nothing is shifting. So just help get a nice edge for my edge painting. Again, you don't have to edge paint. That's completely optional. This isn't going to fray or anything. So we have that far. I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. Sorry if you're seeing the top of my head as I make sure I'm getting my line really good. Okay. I love edge painting. I find it very relaxing. Yes, it's a little time consuming, but I also think it gives the bag a really nice finished look. Okay, and then I'm going to go back in with my scissors all the way to the end and finish cutting out that rectangle. For the exterior. Just like so. Okay, and I'm just going to double check what it does with the lining piece for this. Again, I have never made one of these, so we are going to double check. I think I'm just going to leave the lining piece all. That's for the exterior gusset. We're using woven. Okay. I'm not going to cut out that part on the lining piece just yet because I'm not sure how it works. I just know I can do it with this exterior piece. We may be revisiting that later. So let's go ahead and we will cut out the lining piece of this. So set this aside. So again, my way is if you're doing it the raw edge way, which is the way I will be teaching it in class as well, if you're taking the class. Okay. So this is a really, really big piece of waterproof canvas. Oh my goodness. I'm tossing stuff on the floor. So you want to put this on the fold. Make sure it's sitting nice and flat. This is a 400 denier, so it's a little bit slippery. And I'm going to put this on the fold. Make sure my ends are clipped, my fold lines are clipped in place here. Don't want it to go anywhere. And I'm going to use some pattern weights to help hold this down nice and flat. Make sure we're nice and flat. Press it out with your hands. So I'm not too sure how the lining piece for this works just yet, but we're cutting it out and we will see. Let me double check this. I'm lining that. Yeah. But do not cut that rectangle out just yet because I have a feeling we will be using this piece in a different manner once we get into it. It's a mystery. Okay, so we have our lining gusset piece and our exterior with the rectangle cut out of the way. This will need to be pressed, as you can see. And there will also be foam on here, so we will be playing with these pieces a little bit more. Okay, so you can go ahead and put these aside. So that is gusset panel lining done. So this is where we're going to end up. I'm probably actually going to use fleece on that top gusset panel when I do it, just because I am using vinyl and I don't need as much structure along that top part. So yeah, so just the interfacing left to cut for that. We're going to need 2 lining body panels. So I'm going to grab my piece right here, and I'm going to attempt to cut both of these at the exact same time. Look at this mess I've made. And I just dumped all of my clips. Okay. I'm just going to do them one at a time. So I'm going to fold this up. Put this down on the fold. Just press nicely, and I'm just going to hold it with my hand and go ahead and cut this on the fold. That's one. And 2. Again, you will back these with a woven interfacing if you are using cottons. And I can put these aside for now. Where's my list? You hear me knocking everything down. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's 2 lining body panels, and that is done. Base panel. Where did I put my base? Over here. So same thing again. I've got it on the fold. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out my lining base piece. Okay. And that can go aside. Cross that off. Base panel done. My lining is done. Just have the interfacing to do for that. Not doing the fabric strap connectors, not doing the rolled handles. Overlay is done. Zipper ends, I will be using metal zipper ends. Side pocket panels. So we need 4 side pocket panels. So we have that pattern piece here. You know what, let me just cut some of this up so I'm not working with as big of a piece now that I've kind of used up a good chunk of this. I buy my waterproof canvas from, this one's from Paccana, and I buy it in like 3-meter lengths, and it's just not manageable, especially when you're cutting out a project. So we'll just, come apart. And I'm not used to working with waterproof canvas. I am a cotton lining girl, but this is just the perfect color to match that exterior canvas I want to use. So, okay. So I'm going to attempt to cut 2 of these at the same time. So what I'm going to do is fold this up upon itself. I got to make sure it's going to fit. So it's 1, 2, and it will. Okay, so it's folded up upon itself, and I'm going to fold this in half, like so. And you're going to see we have 2 folds, 1, 2. So if we put that fold mark on that fold.
Answer for that.
Oh, Alexa's talking to me. Like so. That means on the fold, so we got the double fold, that means we'll be cutting 2 at a time. Four would have been a little bit too hard for my wrist with the rotary cutter, but 2 should be good. Okay, so if we did that right, we should have 2. That part. 1 and 2, and we need 2 more. So I don't know if I'm going to get. Can't do 2 at a time here. I don't have enough fabric here, so I'm just going to do 1 at a time. And then this isn't that much for a waist here. I'm going to have to pull that other piece back up, but it was just a lot easier to work with these smaller lengths of the canvas. Especially when I'm trying to show it to all of you. Okay, so that's 3. I might be using this for a pocket. I'm just going to set it aside for now. Bring back my big piece here and cut 1 more. Oh my goodness. Again, fold it up. Place this on the fold. And cut it out. Okay, so we should have 4 side pocket panels now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set that aside. There are a lot of pieces in this, and we're not even doing most of the options. 4 lining pieces, and again, if you're using cotton, you will back those with that. Now, keep in mind, you will have to decide if you are going to be interfacing this with foam or with fleece for your exterior. I have not decided 100% yet. I will have decided by the time I make the tutorial. So think about that. It tells you all the stabilizer pieces that you need to cut on the bottom of page 7. So take a look at that. On the page 8, you have measurements for pleated slip pocket if you're doing that, pen pocket if you're doing that, gusset facing if you're doing that. I'm not. Okay. Back pocket panel. Okay, so I am, because I cannot share the measurements with you. Coco's saying hi because Dave is home. Can't share the measurements with you. You have to have the pattern to get those. So I'm going to put this up to face view. You'll see me cutting it out, but then you're not going to be able to see the ruler of what I am cutting. So just follow along in your pattern to see that. So let me just change that. Okay, I got Coco under control. I figured out what that gusset is going to be. So for the lining side, so we will be cutting 1 gusset facing for that. There are pattern measurements for that as well as a pattern piece. I'm just going to go with the pattern measurements. So let's see. You can't really see what I am doing here. Okay. So again, I cannot share, sorry, pattern measurements. You need to own the pattern in order to get those. So at least this way you can see me cutting them out and how I do that. And I can walk you through what we are cutting out. So we are on page 8 of the cutting list to the section where it is measurements. So we have our gusset facing. So I'm not doing the gusset facing on the exterior because I'm going to edge coat it, but because the majority of people will be using a fraying fabric for the lining, we will be doing a gusset for the lining piece. So because I'm using waterproof canvas, I didn't necessarily need to do that, but I think I'll just like that better because I can't edge paint canvas. So we will do a gusset facing for that. So that is what I'm going to cut out first. I'm going to go by the measurements that are in the pattern. This is, or you can use pattern piece N. So I'm just going to measure it out. and rotary cut it. Okay. I actually prefer measurement cutting. I just think it is so much faster, but there is more room for error. So, okay, so gusset facing, I have done one. So that can be put aside. I'm actually going to put it with the pattern piece that I have, so I know what it is. Next, we need to cut 2 back pocket panels. So I'm going to grab, oops, dropping stuff on the floor. I am going to put this, I'm going to probably use up this whole piece. Wowzers. I want to cut 2 at the same time. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to fold it in half. My goodness. So I've got it folded in half, so it's double width, and I'm going to cut 2 of them at the same time as per the measurements for pattern piece O. Okay, so I'm going to rough cut it first, a little larger than it needs to be, and then go back in on those straight measured edges and even it out. Again, all the measurements are in the pattern. Okay. So those are my 2 back pocket panels. You can see how much faster this goes. I still don't believe how many pieces there are in this. Again, if you're using a cotton, make sure you back these with woven interfacing. Zipper pocket panels. Do you know what? There were pattern pieces for these, but again, I am just measuring them out. But I can put these together. And now we're going to do the 2. Again, this is optional, so think about the options you want to have in your bag. I'm going to see if I have enough here. I don't. So I'm going to cut out 2 of those at the same time. I know this bag is going to be worth it though. All the paint stitch patterns, they are very involved when it comes to pattern pieces and everything, but oh my gosh, you feel so good once it's done, and you have such an amazing looking product after. So it's definitely worth the effort. Okay. Okay, so I got my 2 zipper pocket panels. Go aside. That's pattern piece B, which was optional, and I've cut 2. I'm not doing pleated slip pocket. I'm not doing the pen pocket. I'm not doing the card slot pocket. I'm not doing the card slot pocket backing. I'm not, oops, and the card slot pocket sides. I'm not doing that because I'm not doing any of those. Is that everything? Really? I think we've done it. I think that is everything. Huh. That's everything. And if we have missed anything, which I don't think we have, we will catch it in the actual tutorial. So that is it. As you can see, we have a lot of pieces in there. I mean, seriously. But it's going to be super fun. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get all of these interfaced. I'm going to cut my interfacing, fuse them as they need to be. I like to leave my interfacing, especially when I'm using Decovil Heavy. I like to fuse it, and then I like to let it rest overnight. I don't know if it really helps. In my brain, it does. I think it just helps that glue to adhere better rather than going and working with it right away when it may still be a little bit too warm and didn't quite set. So that is what I'm going to do now. Then I'm going to do the tutorial tomorrow. And then of course we do have class on starting this Tuesday, August, if you're watching this now, August 8th. We will be cutting this out all over again in class, starting our August Tuesday classes. So I really do hope all of you liked this cutting video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you're watching this at the end of August when it's released to the public side of the channel and you would like to join the class, you can definitely register to the Tuesday and Thursday Sew Along tier, and that will get you the classes there. They'll be in replay, but I am here to help you every step of the way if you need a hand. Anyways, until the next one, I will catch you guys later. Bye.